Good evening from New York. Boss Limbaugh was the first to declare an open desire for President Obama's failure, making it safe, if not mandatory, for other Republicans to follow suit. In our fifth story on the countdown, Dr. Ada Fisher has become, 34 days after his election, the first member of the Republican National Committee to call for Michael Steele's resignation as that party's chairman. The question tonight, how long until others follow her? Responding to an email from The Hill, Dr. Fisher, one of 3 African-American members of the RNC, telling that newspaper that Steele is, quote, eroding confidence in the GOP. Quoting her again, I don't want to hear any more language trying to be cool about the bling in the stimulus package or appealing to D.L. Hughley and blacks in a way that isn't going to win us any votes and makes us frankly appear to many blacks as quite foolish. Mr. Steele apparently attempting to heed Dr. Fisher's advices even before her email had been published, admitting on WBAL radio in Baltimore that in trying to be, you know, cool and hip in a Democrat way, we failed. Democratic. Yet in the same interview, Mr. Steele then equated the party and his plans for fixing the party to alcoholism.
I'm putting the party on a 12-step program of recovery. And this is going to take some time. It's going to take some effort.
More effort still to claim last night that he had never criticized Boss Limbaugh.
There was no attack on Rush. What I was saying is there are people out there who actually want to demonize and use him as a boogeyman, but also say that what he's saying is ugly and divisive.
Not even close to being true. What Mr. Steele had actually said was this, quote, Rush Limbaugh is an entertainer. Rush Limbaugh, his whole thing is entertainment. Yes, it's incendiary. Yes, it's ugly. Michael Steele calling Limbaugh's whole entertainment thing incendiary and ugly, not his critics, nor those who would demonize him as if Limbaugh was not fully self-demonizing. Nice try, though. Meanwhile, other Republicans now trying to claim that Steele's attacks on Limbaugh and Limbaugh's self-starting call for President Obama's failure are somehow part of a White House conspiracy. In an email to supporters, John Cornyn of Texas, chair of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, feigning outrage, asking the president and his staff to come clean. Quote, his staff should apologize to the American people for supporting these tactics and diverting attention to the hard work that needs to be done to get America's economy back on track. Dr. Freud, Senator, here's the outrage by saying that President Obama has diverted attention to the hard work that needs to be done. You have just praised him. From would be the operative preposition. Library of Congress, The Elements of Style, Strunk and White. Look into it. Meantime, Republican House Leader Boehner today decrying the diversion without ever saying what the diversion is.
Operatives at the White House have tried to divert attention away from our ailing economy and the Democrat spending binge that's been going underway for the last 6 weeks.
Alien economy? Ailing economy? Not that Democrats are not having fun at the GOP's expense. I mean, who isn't? The DNC now running a contest soliciting ideas on its website for the slogan it will put on a billboard near Boss Limbaugh's home in West Palm Beach, Florida. 10 words or less, please. Time now to call in our own political analyst, Richard Wolff. Richard, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
Nobody in the White House called for President Obama's failure. Limbaugh did. Nobody in the White House called called Limbaugh's rhetoric ugly or incendiary or both. And yet the American people are supposed to believe all of this is this White House conspiracy by White House operatives.
Yeah, you know, if only they were that good. I mean, look, there's no question that Rahm Emanuel tried to stir things up. But if you're looking for an excuse for why Michael Steele is making a fool of himself, you don't have to look inside the White House. You don't have to look for clues to why Congress is being weak by looking at folks inside the White House. They have met. Conservative officials and Republican lawmakers have met what is now really the immovable object in conservative politics, and that's Rush Limbaugh. He has proved that he cannot be moved in any way, shape, or form, other than himself moving up and down very quickly. And so, you know, they've caught themselves in this problem. It was sustained by their own mistakes. And they're looking now at a Republican National Committee chair who is fatally weakened. And this is just the start of the challenges to his authority. And for the sake of children everywhere, we have to stop showing that tape.
Yeah, I know. Killer clowns from outer space is less disturbing for children. Senator Cornyn's confusion. I mean, it's just a to or a from, but it seems symbolic here. When in the last month has the White House not wanted specifically to divert attention to the economy and what it's trying to do to fix it? I mean, it's as if the Democrats wrote this statement for Cornyn, too.
Yeah, and look, the healthcare summit today, a serious subject, could have been about the moral issues about healthcare, but actually they're only talking about it in economic terms, really. The cost of the economy, it's all about the economy all the time. I just find it incredibly ironic that from the party that brought us Terry Schiavo, war in the wrong country, a Christmas without Christ. I mean, the idea that everyone else is playing diversionary politics is a little bit rich.
But as always, and we've talked about this several times already, the key to diversionary politics or the exploitation of political silliness is knowing when is exactly the right moment to give it up, when is not too soon and when is not too late. How much more shelf life does this whole thing have from the Democratic point of view?
Well, I think it would be a real mistake for Democrats to try and push this any further. You don't need to actually pull the trigger when the other side has got a circular firing squad. So in terms of the tactics, I think it's had its full impact. And Rush Limbaugh now has this unrivaled position in terms of what the public associates with conservatives and Republicans right now. In that sense, the White House should get out while it's ahead, if, of course, the White House was pulling all the strings.
Of course, the Republicans could also get out of this by themselves. Both participants in something like this can if they want to, but you have to have an alternate. You have to have something to replace those headlines with headlines of your own choice. Does the GOP have a plan B to go to, or is this what they're left talking about?
Well, what they first of all need to do is to kill some sacred cows here. I mean, that was what actually Michael Steele was there for, and that's why taking on Rush Limbaugh would have been an impressive statement of where the party now stands. I mean, you know, for President Clinton, it was Sister Soldier. For President Obama, he had to confront Reverend Wright. This is their Reverend Wright, and unless they deal with the extreme voices within their own party, within their own movement, they're not going to reach those independent voters who put President Obama over the top. So, yes, they have to come up with an agenda, but they also need to deal with these cultural questions. Are they a party that anyone can vote for without holding their nose?
If it's Michael Steele doing all that, it'll also be one of the great comebacks in political history. With Richard Nixonian at that kind of level. MSNBC political analyst Richard Wolff. Great, thanks, Richard.